Okay, so let's begin. Now what I will do, close, close, close. So I'll close everything over there. Now I'll create one package. Package, that means I'll create one folder. Folder name is what? Folder name क्या बोला है देने के लिए? Give the folder name is what? As a middleware name. Package as a name of middleware. So copy it, paste. My packages get created there. Now after package, is it my package is created, guys? Can I say that it's my complete package? No. Correct. Is it not a complete package? Why? Because जब तक मैं उसमें still if I'm not adding a init method over there, init function or init model over there, still it is not called as a package. It is a normal folder. So once I write the init.py file, if I once I created the init.py in that file, is known as a package now. Now it's become a package. So its file will be blank now. Now I create my own middleware in that. So create a file, custom my middleware, where one dot one dot py. So this is the step. So we have to create one folder with two files, init.py and my middleware one dot. It's your name, whatever the name you can give it there. The choice is yours completely. After it, then function based view. So there are two ways to writing the code into that. So function based view means what? How I did that? Uska syntax I'll write it here. Def define one function, define one function, define one function, function name, a middleware function.
हेलो
Yes.
सर, आपने वो फ़ोल्डर प्रोजेक्ट में बनाया या ऐप में?
Currently, I'll create it in a project folder, project file. Okay. Middleware function name. You can create one function with any name. So that is a middleware function name. Which consists with parameters. One parameter should be there. The parameter name is what? Get response. Parameter name is what? Get response. Colon. So here, here we want to here we want to write a code, write a code which you want to which we want to execute for the first request only. Here we want to write a code for initialization of middleware. That means the code will be executed only once. That means code will be executed only once. Code will be execute only once. The first request. of application. Now, the after it, what I will do once it is done, then what I will do. Next step is what? क्या करना होता है? We have to define one middleware function. Def middleware. Def middleware. Middleware task function. Middleware sub function, or I can say that nested function. Function within function. Huh? The topic is what? Function within function. This function is contained inside this function. So that was a middleware nested function. This nested function will be executed for the each request. It will be execute. It will be execute for each request. Each request of application. Each request of application. After that, here here we want to here want to here we want to write a code. Here we want to write a code to be executed. Here we want to write a code to be executed before request processing, or before request. एक second. Executed for each request again, for each request before which request before request before for each request for it. This code will be executed for each request before view function called before view function is called before view function is called. So this one. After that, I have to write it one constant line. Then constant line should I write it there? The constant line is what? Response equals to get response. Response equals to get response for request. It is used to invoke. It is used to invoke a view function. Yeah, it used to call the view function. It used to call the view function. And इसके नीचे आपका सेम आएगा. Here we want to write a code to be executed for each request after view function execution. After view function execution. मतलब this is a pre-requesting and this is a post response. So request processing का कोड यहाँ पे आएगा, response processing का कोड यहाँ पे आएगा. Once the response is generated and before to hamper on the browser, मतलब browser में आने से पहले, before to show on a browser that response, if you want to add some task into it, we can write it here. Okay, so we can write it here. So this is one middleware we should write it, and that response I going to write return here. return response. And in outer function, should I return middleware? In outer function, should I return a middleware? Middleware matlab the nested function should I write it? Copy this one. Semicolon. So here you can see that whenever we are creating any middleware, so we have to create it two functions, one inner function and outer function, nested function. Outer function will be called only once. Outer function will be called only once when the middleware get initialized. When the middleware get initialized, and inner function will be called for each request. Each request. Okay. So make sure that for each request it will be called. Inner function, outer function will be called only once, and inner function will be called for each request. Note, I'll want to write it. Outer function will be called only once. Inner function will be called for each request and response. For each request and response, the inner function will be called. So these 2 points are very much important over here. So these two functions are very much important over here. So now let's see हमें इसको practically क्या दिख. I'm showing in a practical ways how it is works. So here I'll write should write it. So I created my middleware. So I'll create a def function based middleware. Def my middleware. Middleware which containing the get response parameter. Colon. In that now here I'll write it a simple print message. I'm just writing one simple print message over here. The message is what? My my middleware is initialized. My middleware is initialized. My middleware is a initialized. Once it's initialized, next I'll create one more function, inner function, task one. The task which you have to perform for each request. So here we write a here here we write a code for task one which you want to execute, which we want to execute before request processing, which we want to execute before request processing. Processing. तो कैसे करना है, क्या लिखना है, तो मैं यहाँ पे सिंपली एक लाइन लिखता हूँ प्रिंट वाला, मिडलवेयर परफॉर्मिंग इज task before request processing. Before request processing. Now after that, now we want to call view function. View function. So how I call a view function? So I have to call a view function like this. Response equals to get response with request. Get response with request. Now here also the same thing I should do. Here we write a code for task one which we want to execute after request processing. After request processing, and the task is what simple message printing is there. Now once it's done, I'll return request processing before request or after requests are done. I'll return the response to the client. So return response. Once it's written, and I'll return the middleware to the machine also. So return name of the inner function. That means the task one. So I'll assign the task one to the Django project. So my middleware is ready. So मेरा request, और अभी मैं थोड़ा व्यू में चेंज करता हूँ. जस्ट चेंजिंग इनसाइड माय व्यूज. व्यू में एक लगता व्यू फंक्शन इज कॉल्ड print view function is called. View function is called. Now I saved it. View function is called. Once, next step, fifth step now. Fifth step is what over there? Configure the created middleware into Django settings.py. Django settings.py. So configure the middleware into the Django settings.py. So configure the created middleware into settings.py. Configure it. So how we configure it? Add Now add. Now एक एक मिनट, हाँ, एक मिनट. Just a second, guys. ओके. वॉइस अभी योगिता आ रही है आपको वॉइस? योगिता, नाउ आई एम ऑडिबल? Okay. So now add now now add your now add your middleware where into now add your middleware into middleware now add your middleware into the middleware list, into the middleware list. Now add your middleware into the middleware list in settings.py. तो कैसे ऐड करना है, लेट्स सी. Okay. Actually, I'll create it inside a folder na. I'll whatever where I create a package, so make sure that your package should be created inside a app, not in a outside है. तो मेरा आउट पैकेज में क्रिएट करना है, क्योंकि तो आपने ही पूछा था ना मुझे. So you have to create your own middleware inside your package, not in a project. So make sure that it's present in your project app. ओके, तो मैं यहाँ पे कमेंट यहाँ पे मेंशन कर ही देता हूँ. क्रिएट inside a app. Create inside a app. So कैसे करना है create? Let's see. One, I'll open my settings.py. See, देखो, the list is already available there. So in list is already present there. So आपको कैसे ऐड करना है? In quotes. First your app name. First of all, we have to write your app name. App name is what? What is the app name? App name क्या है मेरा? First app. Yes. So first app dot then middleware name. Middleware directory. First app में which folder is that? Inside a middleware, which folder is that? Middleware folder. So this is the folder name. So I have to copy it. So first app middleware dot. Then your custom file middleware, your custom middleware name. So my middleware one. So I'll copy it. Copy, escape. So settings.py. First tab, my middleware name. And then dot the function name which I defined here. So I saved it. I check it in a server. Is it in a reload? Is reloading. Once it's done, I go to the browser. Now I'll refresh it. See, I'll again refresh it. Now let's see the console window. Can you see there? Middleware is initialized करके output आया हमें on your screen. First of all, your middleware is get initialized. Then middleware performing its task before request processing. उसके बाद आपका view function is called, and then middleware performing its task after. Actually मैंने यहाँ पे लिखा नहीं है, so मेरा writing mistake हो गया, copy pasting किया तो middleware performing its task after request processing. अगेन देखो, अगेन reload हो गया. Again my middleware is get reload. If I देखो, see, again my middleware is initialized. Whenever we edit the middleware, whenever the server is reload, first the middleware get initialized. Once the middleware initialized, request. So see here, first it calls the before request processing, then it calls a view function, then it's called a request one. Middleware performing one, request processing and all. So जितनी बार भी if I refresh it, 1, 2 and 3. So how many times I send the request? 3 times. So that means 3 times it will be performed. देखो, unaccepted indentation. Run server. देखो, middleware is getting initialized automatically. Once it's initialized, now if you want to perform some task before request processing, मतलब before view should be called, now we want to call a view function. So because of this line, your view will is called. So let's see. Refresh. 1, 2, 3. And 3 times I'm execute that code. So here you can see that 3 times it's performing one. 1, 2, and 3. So this is one request, a middleware task over here. So if you want to perform this one, you can see. So आप लोग ट्राई करो ये वाला. ओके. आपने किया नहीं था रेशमा पहले. ना आप लोगों ने व्यूज बनाया, मिडलवेयर क्रिएट किया है, so प्लीज राइट इट इज कोड फॉर इनसाइड योर मिडलवेयर. जस्ट राइट एंड लेट मी नो.
हेलो सर.
हेलो.
हेलो.
हाँ.
हाँ सर. सर मेरा इंटरनेट नहीं था, तो इसलिए सर व्यूज का कोड थोड़ा एक बार और पेस्ट करेंगे.
इज इट वर्किंग योगिता?
हेलो सर.
जी.
सर वो जो सारे व्यूज कॉल होने के लिए वो जो गेट रेस्पॉन्स, जो हम मिडिलवेयर, हाँ, मिडिलवेयर 1.py का जो रेस्पॉन्स इक्वल टू गेट रेस्पॉन्स रिक्वेस्ट है, तो सारे कॉल होगा क्या हर व्यूज के लिए?
हाँ हाँ. Poonam is done. Yogita done. Yes, what about other Jyoti? What about you? Have you done? Okay, yes, yes, I will be upload after the session. Don't worry. Okay. Yes, one middleware will be executed for all the views function. Okay. Now I'll take one more एक simple example, visitor counter. Visitor counter example हमें करना है, so I can work on it. I can use a middleware over there. So how you do that? So let's see कैसे करना है. My middleware already is created there. Folder is already created directory. So within it, I'll create my middleware too. So I'll just copy middleware 2 बनाते हैं हम लोग. Visitor counter test. Visitor counter. Initially, the visitor counter will be what? Once the middleware get initialized, your visitor counter will be what? Middleware 2, new middleware.
सर
Yes, बोलिए.
सर यहाँ पे जो लाइन नंबर 19 पे ये जो टास्क 1 के बाद को सेमीकोलन रखना कंपलसरी है क्या?
हाँ, नहीं, it's not a compulsory. Python में semicolons are optional, ना? That's why.
यस सर.
So now I'll create my new middleware, which counter visitors of the website. So for that, I'll create one middleware visitor counter. या फिर my visitor देने से अच्छा है visitor middleware. Visitor middleware where visitor counter will be 0 the initially. So now I'll define one more function. Def count visitor with request. So whenever anyone will visit any request, whenever any client is visiting my app, my web page, so counter should be what? If anyone is visiting your web page, if anyone of the client is visiting your web page, the counter should be what? Your counter should be increased by, which is the initially 0. It should be increased by what? How much?
One.
It should be increased by 1, correct? Yes. So what I will do, so I'll increase by 1. So counter, visitor counter plus equals to 1. Before request processing, I count is 1. Now, if request dot method equal to get, if your request method is get, then request dot get dot in get square bracket copy this visitor counter and save the value over there. The variable name is same. Next, once the counter visitor counter gets increased by 1, we'll add it into the request if it is get, else if request dot method equal to post request dot post. Same thing will be do with the post as well. Same thing will be do with the post as well. Copy, paste, and then I'll call my, after it performing it, I'll call my response. Response equals to get response with request. Save. Now once the request will be sent, once the request will be sent to the view, we will be display that counter. We will be display the counter over there. So here also we write it counter equals to, sorry, again here I have to write it again I have to write it if, paste it again, if I write it if request is get, then I get the counter from the get request. If it is post, then I got from the post request. That's simple as that. If the request is get, I get from the get request post, and तो काउंटर्स हमें मिल गया. Now I'll print that counter as well over here. तो मैं ट्रिपल कोट्स में लिखता. You can write in a multiple line response. H1 total visitor formatted string F, sorry, total visitor is counter. I'll save it. Now I don't want to write any code. I don't want to perform any code after response. I don't want to perform any task after the response. So मैं क्या करूँगा, directly I'll return a response. response, and after it return visitor middleware. So my middleware is done. Now I have to register it. Now I have to register with the settings.py. So copy, I'll copy it and settings.py. Same. First app dot middleware dot my middleware one dot middleware name, that is visitor middleware. Okay. Once it's saved, I'll write it one more message here. Simple print for understanding. Print vs visitor middleware is initialized. Is initialized. I'll save it. Let's refresh. Middleware is not a package. Spelling mistake हुआ है क्या?
हेलो सर.
Yes.
हेलो.
हाँ बोलिए.
कॉमा कॉमा नहीं बोल रहा है.
हाँ.
लाइन नंबर 30.
Yes, yes. Thank you. See देखो, my middleware is initialized, visitor middleware is initialized. दोनों भी visitor middlewares, मैंने जो भी जितने भी middlewares बनाए, if I don't want to use this one, I'll comment simply. It's very pluggable. If you don't want any middleware, just comment it. Automatically वो middleware remove हो जाएगा. देखो, here you can see both the middlewares are get initialized, but here only the one middleware is that initialized. That is visitor middleware. So it is a very common thing that if you pluggable middlewares are very pluggable. If you are needed, then use it. If you don't want any middleware, just comment it or remove it. Now देखो, both middlewares get activated. Here only one middleware is there, visited, but here both are there. If I comment both one, now there is no any middleware. Let's see. If I comment both one, now there is no any middleware is initialized. See, there is no any middleware is getting initialized. So I want both one, so I'll comment it, saved it, and now is reload. Once it's done, I'll go with the code. एक मिनट है. Okay, now see, I'll call return attribute error function get object has no attribute get function. एक सेकेंड है get object what should I do here? I'll make it more simple because we are not editing it. So make it simple more. I'm just counting it यहाँ पे और मैं यहीं पे प्रिंट कर देता हूँ उसको एवरी टाइम once the counter get increased it will be print visitor counter बिकॉज उसको अभी थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा क्लास बेस्ड व्यू के साथ हम लोग देखते हैं कि हाउ वी कैन प्रिंट दैट काउंटर ऑन ब्राउजर बट राइट नाउ आई जस्ट प्रिंट इट ऑन द स्क्रीन ओनली आई सेव्ड इट I'm just printing it saved it now let's see refresh if it get out it has no function remove it now everything Function object is not having a head. Simply I write it. Hmm. एक मिनट इसका क्या हुआ है मिडल में फर्स्ट मिडल इज वर्किंग प्रॉपरली सेकंड मिडल इज नॉट वर्किंग प्रॉपरली मैंने तो हटा दिया पूरा कोड इट इज नॉट वर्किंग just a second I'll comment the first one function object has no get Django middleware line number 26 processing Hmm. Function object has no attribute get commented. Okay. Okay. Actually, by mistakenly I written in a wrong way. I have to return my counter. I have to return my counter visitor. That's why I got it. टास्क को रिटर्न करना है टास्क वन रिटर्न किया ना सो मेरा टास्क है विजिट काउंट विजिटर दैट वाज माय टास्क सो आई थिंक फर्स्ट ऐप काउंटर आ गया काउंटर लोकल वेरिएबल